Hi, if you are a freelancer or any business who is looking to generate invoices on automation, then this video is for you. As you can see in the background, I have got an invoice database which I have set up in Notion. So alongside this invoices database, I also have client details and I also have every line items that I'm going to put in the invoice, which I'll be automating within few minutes. So let us first understand what this automation is and how the invoices will be generated. So if you see this invoice database and if I scroll to the very right side, I have these three columns which will be useful for automating my invoices. Currently, as you can see, one invoice has been created, and if I mark any of these records as ready to generate, it will automatically create me the invoice over here in the PDF file column. It will take a few seconds to generate the invoices. So as it is going to generate this invoice, let me show you how the invoice has already come out to be. So if I click on this invoice file, which has already been created, you can see we will be following this pattern. And this is a Google document template, which will be editing on our end, and we can customize and modify this as per requirement. But essentially, this is how the invoice has come out to be. And you can see every bit of information is being captured from the database that we have over here. So if you closely observe, we have the client name Maple Tech Solutions, which is already replaced over here. And similarly, the client address is also fetched from the database that we put over here. The invoice date, the due date, everything is getting captured from the database. Okay. Also the invoice number. So all the information that you find over here is being fetched from the database that we see over here, and the invoice has been generated. A key thing to understand here is that the client name and the client address, it is coming from the client details database that we have over here. So whatever changes we make to this database, it automatically gets updated in this particular column in the Notion database. So these two columns are in a relational properties which are being used, and we are using these two columns from the database that we have over here. Now, if you go to the line items, for every line item that we add, we are going to mark it against an invoice, and we are automatically adding the same in the item details that you see over here in the database. And these are the exact same items which we have fetched on this line item section, and we have created the invoice. And the payment information and payment instructions are also coming from the database over here. So I'll be explaining in detail how we'll be setting this up and how exactly this will work. And as you can see, it has already created the second invoice for us as we were discussing and talking about this. And if you click on the second invoice, it will also reflect the changes in this invoice as per the details that we had added. So this is for content writing and social media management. So if you see the particular item details, we have the same things added up over here, and the same things have been marked against invoice number 2 in the item details as well. Now let us understand how this will work, and then I will show you how the automation will exactly function. For this, we'll be using a tool known as PDF Output. PDF Output will help you set up the automation with the help of a Notion database, which we already have over here. And it will require the help of a Google document where we will be modifying and editing the template to generate the PDF file. So you can create anything such as any reports, invoices, contracts, certificates, or even quotations that you are putting in your business on a day-to-day basis. So any document which is being generated on a repetitive basis, you can use this automation tool and you can start generating the PDFs lifelong. So let's click on create PDF and let me quickly sign in, and then I will show you how the automation will work and we will understand every step of this. So let me quickly log in over here, and then I will showcase everything that we need to understand to utilize this automation tool. So once you log in, the very first thing which you need to do is you need to click on new automation. That is where you will create an automation. As I already have an existing automation which is running, it is already showing up in this section. You can see it is showing me the database title. It is showing me the document which I'm using. It is even showing me the Google Drive where all my invoices are stored. So if you observe this database, you have this column Google Drive file. This is where the invoices are getting stored. So if I click on any particular link, it will open up the Google Drive link where the invoices are also stored in my use case. Okay, you can see it is a drive link. So let us set up this automation and understand how this will work. So click on new automation, and I'm going to generate a new automation fresh. So let's say invoice automation number 2. I'm going to click on create, and it will ask me to connect my Notion database as well as I need to add my Google document. Okay. So in my case, I've already added the database. In your case, it will be showing like adding a Notion database. You can click on this button, change Notion database, and you will find an option to add Notion database. Okay. So you can see I have already connected three databases: the client details, the invoice details, the line items. And if you observe, this is the invoice database. and this is the line items database, and this is the client details database. So all the three databases are connected in my case over here. Okay, in your case you can simply click on add, and it will redirect you to add the Notion database on your end. And let me quickly show you how you can add the database from your side. Click on select pages, and you should be able to see all the database that is appearing in your end. So let me switch my account, as those databases are on a different workspace, and I will show you how you can add the databases over here. So the moment you type out anything, it will automatically show all the databases that are already available. Now all these three databases are already connected. You can simply click and you can add these databases, and you can see this has already been added. Okay, so I don't need to add it. When you're in your end, you can simply click on add the database, and it will be added, and you can click on allow access. Don't worry, I will be giving full access to these databases which we have, so you can directly copy the same and you can connect the same in the setup that we find over here. Okay, so let me select the invoice database, as this is the database which I'm going to use, the invoice database, which I've already added up over here. Okay, it will load the database automatically, and let me click on select Google document. You can go with a blank document to begin with, but I already have created a template for this, so I will create an existing document. I will choose this option, and it will ask me to select any existing document which is present on my drive. I have this document which is available on my drive, the PDF output invoice. Let me click on this, and you can see both the things are now connected. Let me click on continue to workflow, and now you should be able to see the particular Google document which was created as an invoice over here. It is appearing right inside the screen. Okay, so this is the document which we are going to use, and on the right side you will find all the properties of this particular database that we have. Okay, so we have client address, client name, discount, due date, all the fields that we typically find in this database that we see over here. Those are the exact same properties which is visible over here. Now the only thing which is remaining is I need to map all these properties one by one onto the document. So let me remove these placeholders which I had already added beforehand, and let me show you how you can map it. So I'm going to remove all these placeholders, and let's say I need to add the invoice number. Okay, so I will simply search for the invoice number, and you can see the invoice number is showing up over here. Let me click on copy. It will copy the property. Go to the document where you need to map it, and simply use Ctrl V or Command V on your keyboard. Okay, so you can simply copy paste the property. Let me paste it, and it is automatically added. Now let me go with the same invoice date. I will copy and I will paste it. Okay, and let me finally copy paste the due date as well. So it will basically fetch these three properties from the database that we have over here. It will automatically map against every record which I need to generate, and it will create the PDF file for me. Okay, similarly all the other fields have already been mapped. Now you can obviously change this as per your requirement. You can even add your own logo over here, and this is the key thing. Okay, so here we have got the line items of the things which we need to add in the invoice. So basically, if you observe, for the very first invoice we have got two line items, the graphic design and web development. Okay, so I want it to automatically populate graphic design and web development over here. So what I will do is I will put a header line over here, as you can see, description, hours, rate and total, and inside that, for the very first row, I will automatically map these particular columns. So to be precise, I need to add the item details. So I have simply mapped item details over here. Then I need the hours. So I need to calculate the hours for each item. So I've just mapped the hours over here. Then I need the rate, which I can map over here. And finally, I need the item total. Okay. So I've mapped that same over here. So once all these things are mapped, the next thing is I need the subtotal amount. Okay. So if you observe, I have already calculated the subtotal amount over here. So I just need to add the subtotal inside this field. Then we need the discount. So if you have any discount available, you can just map it. And finally, we have the total amount. Okay, so all the calculations are being considered inside the database. I'll also be explaining how I created this database. So please be patient and we'll understand this process thoroughly. Okay, so currently all the things are automatically mapped for me. Okay, and the last thing which I need to do is I can define where I need to save this PDF file. Okay, so this is optional. If you want to save it in a Google Drive, you can do it. Otherwise, you can proceed further. Okay, so once you click on this, it will ask you where you want to save the PDF file. I can choose any folder from here, and then I can click on select. It will automatically be added. Okay, so I want to save all these PDFs in my invoice files folder, which I had already shown you. And finally, I can define how I want to name the PDF file. So I want to create the PDF by the name of invoice number that we see over here. So I will simply select invoice number from the drop down, and all my PDF file will be named as per the invoice number reference. So once all these things are set up, you can simply click on setup motion automation. Once you click on that, it will ask you to modify the rows into ready to generate. And once you do that, it will automatically generate the PDF. I already have created an automation from my end, so I don't need to click on this. But once you click on this on your end, it will automatically be set up. If you don't want to use this automation and want to instantly download the PDF, you can click on download PDF, and it will start generating the PDF inside this database. It will save it in the drive as well, and it will also be downloaded onto your downloads folder. Okay, but make sure before you start generating any PDF, always mark the record as ready to generate, whichever you are looking to convert to PDF file. Now my automation is already set up, so I don't need to do anything. If I go back, you can see this automation was already created beforehand. And now if I set it as ready to generate, it will automatically read this record, and it will automatically create me a PDF file in both these columns. Now let it do its job, and let us understand how this database was created. Okay. So this is a simple database where I have invoice number. The client name is coming from the client name database that we have over here. So all the client details, I have created a different database where we have client name and client address. You can obviously add more details as you need. And what I've done is I have created a relation property over here where I've mapped this property to the client details that we see over here at the bottom. Then I've used a rollup property, which is fetching the information from this client name, and it is automatically fetching the address for my requirement. We have the invoice date where you can put the date. We have the due date where you can again put the date. Then we have the item details, and these item details are nothing but a relation property, which is again coming from the line items that you see over here at the bottom. So all the line items that you find, so if you add any line item, you will be able to map it over here. Then we have the hours, which is getting calculated from the hours column. We have the rate, which is again coming from the rate column. And then we have the item total, which is again coming from this total column. Okay, so all these fields are coming from the item line items which we find over here. Okay, and finally we have calculated a subtotal amount. So this is nothing but a roll up being summed up. Okay, so you don't need to worry about this. You can directly take advantage of this database and you can start using it. And I have put a discount figure over here. If you want, you can also put a percentage discount value over here. And then I have calculated the total amount right besides this. Okay, I've also put the payment instructions of how I want the payment to be done. So this will also get created onto the PDF. These three columns that you see at the end will automatically come up. You do not need to add anything. Only thing which you need to do is once these three columns are there, you just simply need to mark it as ready to generate, and the PDF will be created. So it has created the last invoice for us while we were discussing, and you can see it has exactly fetched the values that we had in the database, and it has mapped everything correctly as we needed. Okay, let us create a new invoice directly within the database and understand how this will work. So what I will do is I'll create a new page and I will mark this as invoice number 4. For the client, I can click on this and you can see it is showing me all the three clients. Okay, so if you observe, we have three clients added up over here. So if you keep on adding more clients, it will automatically visible in this particular record. So let me mark it to any particular client. You can see the address is automatically coming. Invoice date, let us put today's date, and due date, let's put the end of the month. Okay, then we have the item details. So what I can do is I can go to the line items over here and I can create a new page and I can add the items over here. Okay, so every record or every line item that you see inside this line items is a new entity, and it should be marked to the corresponding invoices. Okay, so this is, let's say, against invoice number 4. You can see we have got two graphic design, but this was for invoice number 1 and now this is for invoice number 4. Okay, so you can take advantage of this database. Let me add one more. So let's say video editing, we have 4 hours. Let's say the rate was $30, and let me again mark it to invoice number 4. Okay, so now if you will see, okay, I just made a spelling mistake. Let me rectify this. If you see, we have graphic design and video editing automatically showing up. Okay, for discount, I don't have any discount available, so the rate remains the same. For payment instructions, let's say due on receipt. Okay, and due on receipt. So we have the same setup. Now all we need to do is we need to simply click on this, and we need to simply click on ready to generate. Okay, it will automatically read the values that we just added inside this particular record, and it will automatically create the PDF right over here in these two columns. Okay, so let me also show you the drive link, which it shows the PDF file, and you should be able to see everything populate over here. This is highly useful, and you can create unlimited invoices right within the database. Okay, So this makes the process really convenient, smooth, and easy as well. All you need to do is you need to simply add a new automation, set up the things that we just discussed, and click on setup motion automation. You should be able to see the automation populate over here. Okay. So we are expecting the PDF to come up over here any moment, and you can see it has started processing this record, and it will instantly create the PDF file right over here in these two additional columns. Okay. So this is the power of using PDF output, the automation tool, which will help you process the PDFs directly within the database. And notice that this is not only meant for invoices. You can create any kind of purchase orders or any certificates, any reports, or any document which you're generating on regular basis, which you have details in a database. You can do that. Okay. So let's click on this, and it has already created this invoice, and you can see that all the things have been properly placed. So we have graphic design, we have video editing, and we have no discount. If you remember, we had not set any discount, and every value is coming out correctly. Okay. So if you closely observe, I had marked this in the dollar sign. You could have changed to any other currency, and you can see it is showing me two decimal values, right? So you can set up those things inside the settings part. You can choose any decimal value as you want. You can define any number style as per your choice as well. Okay. So you can do all the settings from here. So that is it for the demonstration. If you have any questions on this, and if you want any clarification on this, I'll be more than happy to help you. Please reach out to me at notionformyuse@gmail.com, or you can go to this PDF output website and you can just scroll down. You will find a contact window where you should be able to send me